Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dominic with 95 Tactical, and today we'll be giving our 1,000 round review on the Rost Martin RM1C. You ever find it a little sus when you're talking with the boys about something and all of a sudden it's being recommended in your ads and your feed as if they're listening to you? Well, check out today's video sponsor, Aura. There's so many leaks that people have no idea how to protect themselves anymore, and this puts them at risk of credit fraud and identity theft. Data brokers are also collecting and selling your information. Aura offers data monitoring that will notify you quickly if it detects your personal information has been compromised. And this will help you resolve any potential fraud threats in the future. Plus, their apps can encrypt your Wi-Fi connection and protect your phone and computer from malware. Aura offers a 14-day trial and you can cancel whenever you want. Sign up with the link in the description below to stay protected and support the channel. So some fun facts about the RM1C. I think some of you nerds in the comments actually noticed below that this is based off the Eric's Defense Delta Gen 2. If you look at it, it will probably pop up a picture too that it has some pretty close resemblance, except with some minor features that of the Eric's Defense Delta Gen 2. They actually partnered with Eric's Defense, so this is not that they just copied it without their permission. They actually worked together to get this design out there. Also, Rost Martin has some indirect ties with Springfield Armory. Chris and Stephanie Toomer, the founders of Rost Martin, are actually the grandchildren of Robert Reese, the founder of Springfield Armory. A quick rundown of the specs. You got an MSRP of $459, striker fire chambered at 9mm. It's a polymer frame and available colors of black, stone gray, and FDE. Note that only changes the color of the frame, not the slide. The slide is nitro carburized steel, 4-inch hammer forged barrel, optics ready with an RMR plate included, a capacity of 15 to 17, weighs about 21 ounces, trigger weight of 5 pounds, overall length of 7.1 inches, grip width of 1.1 inches, and a height of about 5 inches. Alright, on to the unboxing, just to show what you kind of get if you were to buy this yourself. Open it up, get the Rost Martin RM1C itself. Obviously you see the Siley optic on here. That's not normally included, that's just what we have for a review. 2 magazines. You get a 15 round one as well as a 17 round with extended base plate. Moving on to what's underneath, you get 2 additional back straps, a small one and a large one. The medium one already comes installed. Basic safety maintenance manuals, a lock, tools to swap out your optic cover as well as mount your RMR plate, which we already have mounted, and a flag indicator. And that is it. Before I get into it, check out our Patreon if you'd like to support the channel. Obviously, these videos aren't cheap. We go through a bunch of ammo and we're barely keeping our head above water. Just kidding. But we'll be adding more content into the Patreon in the future, so a little bit more uncensored or like behind the scenes footage, obviously stuff that we can't post on YouTube, so go ahead and check that out. So for out of the box value, this category kind of talks about what do you get in your overall packaging. Is it of essence? So I think it came pretty bare bones. I mean, it came with a cardboard box. It's kind of nice. It's a designer cardboard box with a really fancy logo, as if you bought like a pair of shoes. You get the gun itself, 2 magazines, as well as additional back straps. Also an additional RMR plate, which I think that's a really nice addition. I think a lot of times I see optic ready pistols that do require a plate don't actually come with a plate. You have to go get that separately by entering your serial number somewhere else into their system and waiting another week for that, or you have to go buy one, which is another additional cost on top of it. So I think that's a really good thing that Rost Martin did. But yeah, it loses a few points for me on just, you know, bare bones packaging, as well as not including a 3rd magazine. So I gave it a 7, Brandon gave it a 6, and Zach also gave it a 7.
This category is going to be ergonomics. So basically, how does the gun feel in your hand as soon as you pick it up? That includes all the controls like the slide serrations, the grip texture, side release, and magazine release. So starting at the top here, top of the slide serrations. The slide serrations are actually very good. They're very grippy. They're cut not too deep, but they're enough to get you to actually bite your finger whenever you're actually gripping on both and the rear. The front and the rear, I mean. One thing I will say though that I talked about in the first impressions video is that the front serrations, they have 4 cuts here. I think they could have added 1 or 2 more, but instead they threw their logo here with the RM1C on the side. When you put your thumb there, it actually, like, my thumb myself actually takes up the entirety of all the serrations in the front. So I would like a little more like like give or a little more serrations there just in case I mess up. That'd be good to have there. But the rear serrations, all good to go. I think they're very grippy. Good job from Rost Martin there. Going down to the side release and the magazine release, the one thing to know is that this is actually a fully ambidextrous gun. It's really nice. It's not like a placebo one where you gotta swap out the magazine release to go onto the other side to make it made for lefties. This one actually is fully operational from both left and right side. They both work just fine. For the magazine release, left side and the right side work perfectly, honestly. The side release also works completely fine on both sides, both in the exact same position too. I know some other firearm companies will actually move the left one back more or not in the same exact spot, but it's actually the exact same design on both sides. So that is pretty nice. Lefties are taken care of when it comes to this firearm. I'm always an advocate for ambidextrous controls. And per usual, I do have smaller hands compared to everyone else here on the channel. I still can't reach there with my thumb there. You hit the mag release. I do still have to break my grip just a little bit, but not as bad as other guns I've had in the past though. Side release though, no problem, I can reach it just fine. So guys with small hands out there, you are good to go with this firearm. Going down to the grip angle, we believe it has the same grip angle as the 1911, 2011 grip, which is very nice for us. We all are also 2011 shooters. We do prefer that grip angle compared to other ones, so it's more natural for us. Now as far as the grip texture and the grip placement, the biggest issue this gun firearm has is going to be the grip texture placement. As you can see here, it doesn't go up very high. They kind of put the bare minimum there, which is just the front, back, and the sides. Pretty low too, not even very high. We always talk about on the channel how we want a higher grip placement on all the firearms we get, and unfortunately this one didn't really have that. I think the texture itself is aggressive enough though for concealed carry. I find that the more I grip down on this firearm, the more the grip actually wants to bite me back. I think that's pretty good. I'm kind of surprised how nice it is for the price point of this firearm. Also, another thing to note here is on both sides it has the kind of the gas pedal or thumb ledge for people that have the thumbs forward grip. I don't really use that myself, but I think it's nice to have just in case purposes. Just a nice little addition that people are starting to do, and I like that.
While I do agree with all the points that Brandon made, the only thing where we differ is that I do feel like the grip texture could have been more aggressive. We were out there on a 100-degree day. I think Zach and I have shot it at first impressions without any chalk, and there's some footage out there. You can see that really beat us up because it was just straight slipping from our support hand, no matter how hard I was squeezing. Maybe I just have soft hands, but definitely for a novice shooter, more aggressive grip texture would definitely help them in their performance. I think they can get away with a more aggressive grip texture. I do understand their intention is concealed weapon carry so that it can be more comfy inside the waistband, but I still think they can get away with having a more aggressive grip texture without rubbing your skin away.
And last thing to bring up is going to be the beaver tail here. It is chopped off pretty short, which I do like. Better for concealed carry, doesn't poke you in the guts much when you're carrying. So overall, I think the ergonomics for this gun are very good. I think if they just made the grip texture a little higher and more of the grip texture itself, this would be a solid winner. With all that being said, actually all three of us gave the ergonomics a score of a 9.
So the next category is going to be trigger. And what that is, we're going to talk about, is it mushy? Does it have a clean break? Does it have a really short reset? Or does it really heavy? I do like the trigger. When we first took it out, I was having a little bit of issues being able to find where the wall was. And then after that, the range day was super easy. I really like this trigger. It has a really short travel to the wall and then a very clean break. What's cool about this is that the reset is also very short and very tactile. Okay, if you could hear that. I am going to take a point off for how heavy the trigger is. It is a 5-pound trigger. Normally I do like 3.5 to 4 pounds. That's why it took a little bit of time to get used to this, just because of how heavy it was. But once we got the hang of it, pretty rockin' trigger.
So just for a little bit from what Zach said about the trigger, compared to everything else we've had on the channel so far, not counting the 2011, I think this is actually probably the best trigger we've had. Main reason being is because I talk about all the time how I want a gun that has a very crisp wall to a very clean break. And that's exactly what this gun did. You can tell majority of the budget went to this trigger alone. All the firearms we had in the past always have get mushy or have some type of creep. This has none of that. It's literally just to the wall and a brake. That's really all it is. Yeah, it's a little heavy because I know it is more for concealed carry, so I understand their thought process of going a little bit heavier trigger. But the fact that it's such a short reset, such a clean brake, it really allows for very fast follow-up shots. So I think this trigger, they really hit out of the park with this.
For our scores, Dominic and I gave this a 9 and Brandon gave this a 10.
Covering the sights and optic, we'll be talking about the iron sights as well as the optic mounting system. It comes with black dot rears and a white front. They are not night sights, but if you want to swap out the iron sights for something else, it is compatible with all Springfield Armory XD and XDM sights, including from factory and their aftermarket options. Moving on to the optic mounting system, it does include a RMR plate. As far as we know, there are no direct mounting options available for the RM1C. So if you didn't want to run an RMR type of optic, you can also swap out for a shield plate, a Doctor/Nobex plate, and a Delta Point Pro plate as well. The best part about the plates though is that they are rather affordable. I know plates out there tend to be more expensive on other guns, but this, it's only $25, so it's a very small fee you have to overcome. However, where we all deduct a point, we all gave it a 9 out of 10 because there is no direct mounting option available as far as we know based on our research, and it does not list any direct mounting options on their website as available. So that just introduces an extra point of failure.
Next category to talk about is going to be about the magazines here. So the magazines that come with the firearm, it comes with a 115 round and 117 round magazine, which is pretty nice for a compact gun. I think that capacity alone is very good. Very standard across the industry where a compact gun should come with at least 15 rounds. Talking about the housing real quick though, it is all metal housing, which we do like that on the channel. We do prefer all metal housings for our magazines as far as durability and longevity of the magazines here. One thing I want to note though that a lot of companies do is that the rounding cases on the back actually has one for every single round, starting at 2. Majority of what you see out there actually start at 3 instead. You don't really need the second one because technically you just put 2 rounds, you can see it from the top. But I do like how they add that in there anyway, just because. I think that's really innovative, and I enjoy that, putting it in there. One thing I want to talk about though is the base pads. They are plastic, and I thought that at first they're quite robust, especially the 17 round one here. It actually is quite strong. We've dropped on the ground a lot, not really any wear marks on it yet, and we've gone through our whole 1,000 rounds. But for the 15 round one here, you notice here actually, we'll get close up here rolling right now, but it actually bends out. I don't know if that's due to wear or not, but you can really tell that it's like not flat anymore. So that kind of tells me that over time, this base pad is probably going to fail on us. So I do usually prefer metal base pads, and I've had given it away to other firearms in the past where the plastic was okay. But for this one, I'd say that's not a very good thing. So I did dock a point for that. But just a caveat though, the magazines themselves are pretty cheap on the website. These are only $25, so that's pretty nice. I do like how they're very affordable for people, but I just wish they were probably with a little better design for the base pad, for the 15 round one in particular. 17 round looks like it's holding up pretty well, but the 15 rounder, the base pad seems to be giving away a little bit. Lastly, a fun fact about the RM1C is that it does accept the P10 magazines. So if you're already a shooter with the CZ P10 in your arsenal, this does accept those magazines. It's pretty nice there. In case they ever have issues with magazines, you can always just swap out to those instead. Another fun fact, as I read about the forums, is that obviously, as you know, this is basically a carbon copy of the design from the Airx Delta 2. This firearm will not accept the Airx Delta magazines, but the Airx Delta will accept the RM1C magazines, just because the base plate design doesn't fit in this firearm. So with that being said, I gave it a 9 out of 10, and Zach and Dominic both gave it a 10 out of 10.
So next category is going to be felt recoil. I think the felt recoil was okay for the size of this gun. After shooting it for a few days out in the range, I did, honestly, it didn't feel much of a beating on my hands what I do compared to a smaller compact gun. But afterwards, it's honestly pretty good shooting gun, I'm gonna be honest, but I still had to bite down a little bit firmly to control the recoil.
I think the felt recoil could feel a little bit better if they went with a little more rigid design with the frame. Whenever you pick this up, you can definitely tell it has that cheap feeling to it because the plastic from the frame is a little bit thin. You squeeze it, it starts to cave in on itself just a little bit. You can definitely tell on the felt recoil too, it adds a little bit of flex as you're shooting it. I think if they made it a little more rigid, it definitely help with the felt recoil.
Braden and I gave this a 8 out of 10, and Dominic gave this a 7 out of 10.
So weapon handling, I know there's some overlap between weapon handling as well as ergonomics, but this is putting the ergonomics into practice and seeing if they are actually useful. Starting at the top, serrations, I felt that they were very usable. They weren't like super aggressive where it took no effort to squeeze, but they were definitely more grabby than other manufacturers on the market. The side controls here with the slide release, I had no issues hitting it. It's obviously fully ambidextrous on both the mag release and slide release, so great there for lefties. Moving down to talking about the mag release, it was super easy to hit. It's actually protrudes a decent amount, and where my thumb position is, I do not have to break grip at all to hit that. As well as the spring tension on the magazine when hitting the mag release, you don't have to worry about getting stuck as easily. As you can see here, it pops up quite a bit. I really like that when manufacturers have a strong spring tension, so when you perform any reloads or emergency reloads or just practicing for whatever, you don't have to worry about getting stuck. Since it's made for EDC and maximum concealability, I will note there is no flared magwell. I don't really expect it because it's intended purpose and market, but it's something just to note, so when you do reloads, it won't be as easy as having a flared magwell. We also had some rechambering issues, mostly only on the first round, where we would load a full magazine and rack the slide, and when it went forward, I think it has something to do with the feed rate being too aggressive, because the round would literally shoot straight up and like be stuck like at the top of where the round chamber or stuck at the top of the chamber. My bad, I lost my words. I can't really show you that on camera, unfortunately, like full detail, because YouTube will take us down for that, because I think that has to do with assembling or disassembling the gun. Fun fact, we actually got flagged for sexual content for that. It's kind of interesting, showing a malfunction on camera. So some malfunctions there. That's why I kind of took a point off the weapon handling, because just like dropping the slide release on a new mag, as well as like racking it and dropping it, like not even like we weren't riding it all, we were just straight racking it back and dropping it, it would have a chambering issue.
So one thing I want to know when it comes to weapon handling on this is that it actually has a full Picatinny rail here, which is pretty nice because it actually has multiple cuts for different size weapon mount lights if you wanted to put them on there. For example, here we have the TLR7 sub from Streamlight. That will fit directly on there just like that. The Streamlight TLR1 as well will fit on there as well, because it actually has 3 slots there. And lastly, the big boy Surefire does fit on there just fine. So it's pretty nice how you get the option of being able to put whatever size light you actually want to carry with on there. Not a lot of other firearms will allow you to do that. Usually it's set for either just the full size weapon mount lights or the small TLR7s usually. So that's a nice touch, I think, from Rost Martin. Lastly, I want to bring up, just like in the first presence video, that it does have a chamber indicator right there. On top of that with a striker indicator, but for the chamber indicator specifically, right on top of the barrel, there's a little hole there. We're on a little B-roll footage. But the big issue with that is that as you're shooting on the range, it will always smoke out the glass every time you're shooting it. You literally get through one magazine and then you can't look through the glass anymore because it gets so dirty. I'm never a big fan of that ever, honestly, on firearms. We always advocate for press checks here on the channel. Just easier, takes away all those issues when it comes to getting the glass dirty. And we know a lot of people in the comments are going to be saying you guys should be thread focused anyway, but let's be honest, guys, you guys already know how much it sucks having to clean the glass after one range session. So that being said, if you were ever going to run this firearm through like an 8-hour course, for example, like how a majority of people out there should be doing, you will no longer have a clear glass by the end of that.
Lastly, before I forget, on the grip texture, I do feel like it could have been more aggressive. I know I talked about that in ergonomics earlier, but under recoil, and I didn't have chalk on a very hot, sweaty day, I felt my grip was breaking. I'm quite confident, at least for me, like if my hands were dirty or wet like it was that day, this gun is not staying in my hands. I'm not controlling that recoil very well because the grip texture was not that aggressive, in my opinion. And for this category, we all gave it a 9 out of 10.
This category can be comfort, concealability, basically how does it feel to carry on a daily basis. So for this, you'll notice the grip angle is actually more of a 1911 grip angle. I feel that's a little more natural for carry as well, because it's not poking upwards like so. I think they do a pretty good job of going with that, not only helping with a more natural presentation, but also with helping conceal a little better, in my opinion, as well. Also coming with the flush 15-round magazine, doesn't poke out at all. You may have some issues running the 17-round magazine, really, because obviously more capacity means more room. That might stick out, but with the 15 round, I don't think it's much of an issue at all. As far as the design itself too, there are no sharp edges on this firearm whatsoever, possibly other than the iron sights. The grip texture is also soft enough to carry. It's not to the point where like if you rub against your skin, it's gonna start like shaving away your stomach at all, but it's aggressive enough to where you start gripping down with your hand and it actually wants to bite you back. I am a big fan of that grip texture, so I think they did a good job there. And lastly, this is also their compact firearm, the RM1C, being standing for compact. That also tells you they're probably going to bring out a full-size and a subcompact version of this as well. But I always believe when it comes to compact firearms, it gives you just enough room here to get your pinky on there for good leverage. On top of that, give me the 4-inch barrel. That gives you a lot of accuracy for distance. We actually did a test for this firearm at 25 yards. It actually held a really tight fist-sized group. You're not going to see that in a lot of other subcompact guns, in my opinion. A lot of other ones we found on the channel, we actually had a fairly larger group at 25 yards. So this is really the perfect combination between concealability and accuracy like a full size.
So I just want to chime in real quick on what Brandon said, is that I do agree with the soft texture, so you don't get a rash and it doesn't poke you as much when you're concealing it from appendix. And that one point that I did take off was that when concealing it in front, I did have a little issue with the mag well sticking out. So I do have to dress around the gun, and that's why I did take a point off.
So I did give this 8 out of 10, which is the lowest score. It's still very comfortable, mind you. I would just say that it is a little bit longer. It's a 4-inch barrel, as well as it has a overall longer length. So when it comes to picking things up or having it in here, and you try to like bend down to pick up something, it is noticeable with that length.
So all that being said, I gave the comfort and concealability a 10 out of 10, Zach gave it a 9, and Dominic gave it an 8 out of 10.
So next category is going to be aftermarket support. This gun was just introduced to SHOT Show 2024, so is relatively very new. So there aren't going to be many upgrades out there as of right now. Some future aftermarket support that we'd love to see in the future would be like extended slide releases, extended mag releases, possibly a flared mag well, and trigger upgrades and new slides. This gun here actually has a serialized frame, so you're not going to be able to swap it out with any frame besides this one, so you aren't going to be able to use like metal grips at all, unfortunately, in the future.
So I just want to make a quick mention here, with the gun being so new, this category isn't the most fair to this firearm, but we just want to go off what the potential can be there. Like Zach said, the serialization is actually on the grip itself, so you won't be seeing any kind of metal grips when they come out, but as far as like generic aftermarket support, like the stipple job, the port jobs, even we have a company we saw that actually provides a specific grip tape that goes on this grip. That's pretty good. Just haven't seen anything else out there yet, like the controls or the trigger, or even like a lightning cut into the slide just yet, or even be able to swap out the slides in general. So in the future, if those options ever come out, as this firearm grows in the market, we will update our scores on this firearm in general. But for now, we're just gonna go off of what we have.
So Dom and I gave this category a 7 out of 10, and Brandon gave this a 6 out of 10.
Lastly, we have the price, which we all gave this a 10 out of 10. I'll go ahead and say it. We all think this is exceptional value for what you're getting. MSRP of $459, and if you go with retail prices and as low as we've seen so far is $420. I'm sure as time goes on and there's deals that pop up, you can probably get this for $400 or less. I really like what Rost Martin is trying to accomplish here, getting into the budget carries, making guns more available for the entire market. Not everyone has a bunch of money trying to get their first concealed carry weapon. Of course, with this pricing, this easily is a competitor to what we know as another good manufacturer, Canik. Where I feel like a lot of the budget went of the price is the trigger and the barrel. Trigger, obviously, as we stated before, is one of the best out of the box triggers, the most crisp trigger we've felt in a striker fire platform ever. As well as the accuracy, we zeroed this on a different video, the Siley red dot video. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. At 10 yards, the shots were basically stacked right on top of each other, and at 25 yards, they were very close to touching, probably like 1 to 2 inch groupings, and at 25 yards for a compact pistol, that is very impressive. It isn't all sunshine and rainbows. With the first 100 rounds, we don't know if it's due to break-in period or ammo specific. Could be a combination of both. but I usually shoot 147 grains, and only I had the malfunction and failure to feeds with the 147 grains. So this gun may or may not be picky with certain types of grains you're choosing with ammo, so just keep that in mind. As for final thoughts of this pistol, I think it's a solid performing firearm right out of the box. Optics plate included, super cheap, great for beginners getting into the CCW market. One of the best triggers right out of the box of any striker fighter we have, especially at the price point, mind you. Exceptional accuracy at 10 and 25 yards. I'd say the only gripe we have is the grip texture and placement. It could be slightly more aggressive, as well as the grip placement could be a little bit higher up. Also, it fits lefties, fully ambient controls, not just reversible, but exactly mirror copy of the right and left. And that's all we really got for you today. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share, and subscribe. Also check out our Patreon to support the channel. And remember, as a responsible firearm owner, please get good. With that, we'll see you in the next one. Sorry.